welcome back to the Kiwi Wedding Podcast. My name is Lydia and I'm a wedding photographer based in Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland. We have a really exciting chat today and I feel like there's lots of exciting things happening in the wedding world at the moment. If you didn't know already, I'm thrilled to say that I'm going to be a part of Wild Hearts Wedding Fair in Queenstown, and that is on Sunday the 15th of September. So if you're going along or if you're thinking about having a Queenstown wedding and you need to go away for the weekend, scout out some wedding spots and chat to some vendors, that would be a great weekend to book in and do it. I would love to meet you there, and I'm also going to be running a giveaway very soon. Keep an eye out for that. Free tickets to the fair, and also have a little couple shoot in Queenstown with me. Let me know if you're a vendor and you're going as well. Excited to meet you there. On today's episode, I'm chatting to the lovely Ciara. She got married a couple of years ago, had a few complications with the pandemic and having to replan her wedding a number of times. She's also the owner of the White Wedding Club, which you may have heard of, and they were a part of our birthday giveaway. Ciara has a beautiful, calm and kind energy. Always so lovely to chat to her, and she has a really interesting background and story. Working as a professional dancer and on super yachts, she and her husband have both travelled the world and continue to do so. They're currently having a European summer, which I'm very jealous of, seeing all her stories. We chat through her whole wedding planning experience, the ups and the downs, and how the day turned out. We talk about, despite the process being quite difficult in some ways, she really thrived and enjoyed it. And it helped her realize that she wanted to continue doing this, being a wedding planner for other people. We chat through her business journey, starting curated by Ciara, and then recently taking over ownership of the White Wedding Club. She explains the differences between a wedding planner, a partial planner, an on-the-day coordinator, and a wedding stylist, which was super helpful. And I know that so many people get confused between these different titles and how much they cost, what they actually do in the lead up to your wedding. So Ciara explains this really well, and definitely listen right through to that. We walk through the whole process, what it looks like to work with her. We chat about recent trends she's noticed and what's coming up in the next wedding season. She has loads of amazing advice. This is a juicy one full of good golden nuggets. So let's get right into it. Enjoy episode 60 with Ciara. Hi Ciara, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. So excited to chat all about your wedding and then working in the industry too.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Yay. So we'll talk a bit about your wedding and that experience first. So to get started with, if you could just tell me a bit about you and your partner, how you guys met and your life together.
Yeah, so my husband Dylan and I, we met about 10 years ago in Mallorca in Spain, which is an island, one of the Balearic Islands. He was working, and he still is, a chef on super yachts. And I was actually living in Mallorca working as a dancer. I spent many years touring as a professional Irish dancer. So I was in a resident show there for a few years, and we met through a mutual friend. And yeah, that was it. And then after we met, I ended up joining super yachts as well. And we spent many years having like long distance relationships on different boats, different parts of the world. And we've kind of lived many places. But we moved back to New Zealand about 2.5 years ago. We got married in the midst of the pandemic. So that definitely came with its challenges. But yeah, we got through them. And now we live in Raglan with our 1.5-year-old girl.
More exotic and exciting than some, but yeah, so cool. And I imagine has its challenges for sure as well. Just a lot of long distance in there. So you dated for a while and got engaged. Can you tell us a bit about your proposal story?
Yes, so the proposal was very much like out of a movie. He proposed to me under the Brooklyn Bridge in New York. He, one of my favorite Irish dance photographers, is based in New York, and we were going we were going on traveling, and we had a couple days in New York, and I'd hinted at him like I really wanted a photo shoot with this lady, and so he had booked it, given it to me for Christmas, but actually had planned to propose during the photo shoot, because he knows me and I love to have everything captured on camera, and I love to be, you know, a bit dramatic. And yeah, so we did this photo. It was a dance photo shoot. It was freezing. It was like minus 20 something degrees, and she had me dancing in like bare feet, like under the Brooklyn Bridge. And then we did a few different locations, and then the last one, she was like, "Oh, Ciara, why doesn't Dylan hop into the photo shoot?" And he was wearing a suit, and I was like, "Why are you wearing a suit? You're not hopping in front of the camera." He's like, "Oh, you know, Silpa just said like maybe like he might get some photos of both of us." I was like, "Okay." And so then he jumped into the photos, and then yeah, that's when he popped down on one knee, and then she got the photos. And then also at the same time we had like a little engagement shoot, so it was really cool to kind of like do it all together. Yeah, and the rest of the day we just spent like walking around the city, crossing Brooklyn Bridge, finding somewhere for like a glass of champagne, and yeah, it was very romantic. It was very nice.
Oh, that is like straight out of a movie in New York. I love that.
The photos look incredible. I'm so glad we have them.
So nice to have that. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if you were already working in the industry then, but did you sort of have like a vision in mind for what you wanted for your wedding, the style and the vibe? And yeah, where did you sort of start with planning, finding a venue, all of that?
Yeah, so we got married in 2022. I ended up planning our wedding 3 times because of the pandemic. So that was great. Um, it was very much 2022, 2021. It was very much like boho vibe, dried flowers, kind of that thing. So I guess I was planning it from overseas. I was planning it from yachts. So that kind of had its challenges in itself. But I just very much like was looking at trends that I liked, was very much kind of what was happening in weddings, and kind of I wanted the same thing. And we're very relaxed people, but I still wanted everything beautiful. And so yeah, we kind of just went with that. Yeah, all the dried flowers, all the natural colors, that kind of thing. And actually, like, we had challenges, like our venue pulled out 6 weeks before because of the pandemic, and we were in MIQ, so we couldn't like go view other venues or anything. So it was all ended up being, for a very organized person, it was all very last minute because I had to rebook a venue. The only venue I could get, because we'd committed to Waitangi weekend, was a venue that was like an all DIY. So I had to hire marquee, portaloos, the whole 9 yards in a few weeks. So yeah, it was what it was in the end. It was an amazing day. It wasn't like my dream wedding, but it didn't really matter in the end, because I think after all of that and replanning our wedding 3 times, we just wanted to get married, and we just wanted to have it, and it was beautiful in the end. It was very relaxed, but it was a nice day. So
Such a stressful time for
it was.
everyone planning weddings during that time. And then, yeah, I guess you do just like get to the point where it's like, okay, what's the most important thing here? We're getting married, we're celebrating
Exactly.
with whoever can is allowed to come. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Oh. And did you have sort of like your most important priorities and the different elements for the day? Don't know if that all came together because of the circumstances.
I think because of the time that it was, for me, the priority was just people coming together for one day and forgetting about what was going on. It was really unfortunate that none of Dylan's family could make it because they're all Australian. And it was at that time where the borders were open, so we decided to go ahead, and then they shut them last minute when we were in MIQ. So we had talked about postponing again, and luckily we didn't. Like, I found out I was pregnant like 2 weeks before. So it was all just, there was a lot going on. So we just wanted everyone to come together. I actually had made signs, and said it in a jokey way, but kind of said like, please leave COVID chat at the door, like, because there was lots of conflicting opinions on the whole thing, and it was kind of at a time where it was just causing a lot of stress. So I just wanted everyone to come together and forget about it, and they did, and everyone just said it was so nice and refreshing just to get away from all that for a day. And so that was ended up being like my main priority. I did want to style the whole wedding myself because I knew I wanted to start my own wedding planning business. So I wanted to use these photos as like the beginning of my journey. So that's what I decided to do, style it all myself, and I did my own flowers. They were dried flowers, so it was fine. Just because I wanted to have like full control over that. So yeah.
I love that. That's such a great idea that you did that as well. No COVID chat, because it definitely just got to a point where it's so exhausting, so many opinions flying around, and that's all that everyone would bring up, the like small talk all the time. So a nice little reprieve in the middle of that crazy time.
Yeah, it was.
Can you tell me a bit about your wedding outfits, your dress? What was that process like, finding it, getting it made?
I had got the Hayden gown from Rudisine. Always loved Rudisine. And because we were living overseas and traveling, I had tried so many dresses on in different cities like London, Cape Town, New York. Everywhere I went, I'd find like a wedding shop. And I just didn't find something that was me. And then I came back to New Zealand a few years before our wedding. And yeah, I went to Rudisine and just like fell in love. It was very me. It was very boho, which was big at the time as well. So and it just made me feel like a princess, you know, flowy. And yeah. So and then Dylan got his custom made in Melbourne by a tailor there. Yeah, so it was very much him as well. So we just wanted to like reflect ourselves. He's quite stylish, so he didn't want something plain. So yeah, he just wanted something a bit colourful, a bit funky. So yeah, we kind of got what we wanted.
Oh, so good. Yeah, nice to do something different. And I love those Rudisine dresses, very like
Yes.
unique, and
Yes.
yeah, sounds like suited perfectly your vibe as well.
And I actually didn't wear a veil. I wore a headpiece. So that was kind of cool. It was very much me. I didn't want to be traditional and wear a veil. So there's this place in Madrid called Verbena, and they do amazing headpieces and like big, like kind of boho, big funky earrings. So I kind of did that instead. So that was quite fun.
Love that. So beautiful. And did you have a bridal party? And if so, what was that process like, choosing them?
Yeah, I had a bridal party. I had three. So I had my sister and two of my best friends. Originally I had planned to have more. I think I couldn't get it below six, but then with the pandemic, it kind of was kind of good. It helped me in that process because obviously three of them couldn't make it. So three for me was enough. It was plenty. It was really nice to have them there, by my side, and yeah, it was just like made for a fun day. And my husband actually, he couldn't get, none of his people that he wanted for his groomsmen could make it in either. So he had a close friend that lives here, and one of his girlfriends, his best friends, she was his groomswoman. So that was kind of cool, a little bit different, but yeah, very much him.
So good. Nice to include a few people. Again, tough, the ones missing out, but
It is what
yeah.
it is.
Exactly. And what about the guest list? I imagine there were a few restrictions around that, and obviously with borders. But yeah, did you initially find that quite hard to narrow down?
At the beginning, it was because we have, you know, lived all over the world and we had friends everywhere. I remember writing our initial guest list down, and it was like near like 180. We're like, we can't have this. But again, we were having our wedding in New Zealand. We knew that half of those people might not be able to come. And then, of course, we were worried about that, trying to narrow it down. And then COVID did that for us anyway. So we actually ended up having a very small wedding. I think there was about 46 or 48, because obviously none of Dylan's friends or family could make it from Australia. But it was really lovely, and we'd only just moved back to New Zealand, so we didn't have a huge amount of friends here. But everyone that we had were close to us, so that was kind of just nice. Just keeping it small and intimate was lovely.
And nice. It is something special about it being small, like
Yeah,
annoying when it's out of your control, but
yes.
yeah, still like beautiful on the day. And yeah, can you tell us a bit about the day, how it all went, and yeah, any favorite moments, highlights that you can remember?
Yeah, I mean the day all went amazingly. It goes so quick. But I was actually, yeah, I had found out I was newly pregnant. So I was in that really feeling sick and tired phase. So in the few days leading up to it, I was like, please, just please feel okay. And actually, that was the one day that my body just was like, okay, this is your wedding day. You're going to feel great. You're going to feel full of energy. I even stayed up till like 2 a.m., which was massive for me at the time because I was exhausted. So that was good. And yeah, it was just a beautiful day. We had nice weather. And yeah, we just had everyone there. I'd arranged for some live music during our cocktail hour for a local girl from Raglan. So that was really beautiful. I'm big on music. It just created the vibe. I also had a DJ for the whole time, which I know is an extra expense, but for me, music just really creates an atmosphere. So I was really happy with that. And then we had a noise restriction for 12 p.m. cut-off music for our venue. So I'd actually hired silent disco headphones for afterwards. And that was really fun. There was only a few of us that stayed, but the few of us that were, we just stayed on, carried on dancing. And yeah, it just made for a really fun evening.
Oh, I love that. That's such a cool idea thing to do and a great way to get around noise restrictions, actually. Because I know, yeah, depending on your venue, a lot of them have that if there's neighbouring property close by. Sounds like a beautiful day. And what did you find the hardest? Obviously, all the pandemic stuff for sure. But yeah, was there anything else that was really hard about the wedding planning process or that you look back on and would do a bit differently?
I was planning it from overseas and not just from like one base, but I was working on yachts. So when you're working with on yachts, you've got very little time off, you know. So that was a challenge in itself, just trying to do that from being far away and not having great internet connection and that kind of thing. If I could do it differently, I would have, and if I could have afforded it in my budget, I would have allowed for like a partial planner to come on board to just take care of that admin side of things that I didn't have time for, especially during COVID when you're sending out tons of inquiries and you have to replan your wedding. I think if you had someone on board to help you, it just would have taken so much stress off that I could have used that time to focus on other things, like the things that I wanted to do with the wedding. I really wanted to style the wedding. And I think if I had more time, I would have thought more about the details and that kind of thing. And as it was kind of just like getting it done because, you know, time was of the essence and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think a partial planner would have really helped with that whole process.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely adds another layer of trickiness planning from overseas and different timelines. And then, yeah, you're in the pandemic too. So it's great advice and something for people to think about if you're a bit time poor or are getting overwhelmed with all that admin side of things, which I'm sure we'll go into later. Yeah, did you have a set budget for your own wedding? And do you know how much you spent, if you're happy to talk about a ballpark figure and how you found that process?
Yeah, we did have a set budget, and that definitely went out the window because of that last minute venue change. We just had all these extra expenses that we weren't prepared for. Things like a marquee is really expensive, and then you have to fill that marquee. So you have to fill it with tables and chairs and plates and glasses and all that kind of thing that we would have had in our original venue. And also, we had stuck to a weekend, a public holiday weekend. And I felt we had to stick to that weekend. We couldn't change the date because friends and family had already booked accommodation down here. So we had committed to getting married in Raglan. It's a very small town. We don't have that many venues. So the only venue that was available, it was beautiful. We ended up getting married at the Blodge and we loved it. But again, it's a full dry venue. So we just had to hire everything, and trying to hire things last minute, you kind of just have to take what's available. So that definitely probably added another 15 to 20 grand on top of what we were going to spend. Just yeah, portaloos, just everything, dance floor, lighting, things that we just weren't prepared to pay for. So in the end, I was just, letting out the cash like this. It was just kind of just whatever, just give me something. So I think we ended up spending about $45,000, which a couple years ago, I know things have got a lot more expensive now, but a couple years ago that was quite a bit for like a small 40 to 45 person wedding. But again, it was just the element of having to bring everything in and hire everything last minute and just take what we could get. So we couldn't get like a smaller marquee. We had to go a medium size and that kind of thing. So it all just added up. But it was money well spent.
Yeah, easy to do though. And yeah, obviously that kind of last minute switching and replanning added to that. But yeah, I think people don't realize sometimes that a marquee wedding or a venue that's basically a patch of grass where you bring everything in often adds up to be a lot more than those kind of all-inclusive venues. I still love those weddings, and you can really just like build it from scratch, make it your own. But something to be aware of. There's a lot of
Absolutely.
hidden added costs for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
Do you guys go on honeymoon straight away? I don't know if you could travel very much then, or baby moon.
We went down to Queenstown. We couldn't travel overseas. So, originally we had big plans of doing South America and all these things, but we couldn't. But Queenstown was really beautiful. And Dylan, my husband, had never been down there. He's from Australia. So I'd never been down there in it was kind of summer, autumn. So it was just, it was really nice. Went to lots of vineyards. I couldn't try any of the wine because I was pregnant, but I made him promise that he'd bring me down again when I could actually go to the vineyards. So it was nice. Very low key, but lovely.
Yeah, beautiful spot to go anyway. And it sounds like you guys have done a lot of international travel together as well. So that's cool. Do you remember, were there any like helpful websites, apps, different resources that you used during the planning process in terms of like inspiration or finding vendors, all of that?
For inspiration and vendors, I was all over Instagram. I just found Instagram really helpful for me. I think the layout's easy to use. I think it's easy to search. And so, because I was planning it from overseas, I wasn't super aware at that stage of the vendors that were like around the Waikato. So, I found Instagram like a really good source of inspiration, a good source to like finding those vendors. Also, Pinterest is great for inspiration. But you do have to be careful on Pinterest. You've kind of got to go in with an idea of what things will look like. Like a picture can be beautiful, but there can be $10,000 worth of flowers in that picture. So you've really got to go in with like a kind of an idea of what things might cost. It is a good source of inspiration though. And then in terms of other websites, we used a thing called Appy Couple, which was for our guest list, and that was really good because originally people were going to be traveling in from overseas, so we could put all the information on there about hiring cars at the airport, what to do around Raglan, that kind of thing. And it was a great way to keep track of all our guest list, and people would RSVP on there. I didn't do old-fashioned paper invitations because we were on yachts. It was just too difficult. So we just did it all through that, and it was just really easy, and it was all taken care of. So I recommend that one.
So good. I don't think anyone's mentioned that yet. So it's great for people to know. And Instagram and Pinterest always favorites for sure. But that's great advice about just being a bit realistic because a lot of the stuff you see on Pinterest is from like 6-figure and north budget weddings and like overseas American, European, whatever. So be a bit realistic when you're looking on there and what is like available and accessible to you for sure.
Definitely.
Do you have any advice from a bride's perspective for couples planning their wedding at the moment?
I just think do you. There's so many things. Once you start looking at inspiration, you can really get caught down a rabbit hole of like certain trends and that kind of thing. And like a trend is a trend. You don't have to use it for your wedding, like say like bows right now. I love them, but would I use them if they weren't a trend? I'm not sure. If they like reflect you as a couple, then go ahead and use them. But you don't have to use them because that's all you see right now. So just like stick to yourself, and your day is actually a reflection of you guys as a couple. So just kind of decide what you really want and what you want to spend your money on and that kind of thing, and what are your priorities and your non-negotiables, and then go from there. So sit down with your partner, have a big chat about those things and what's important to you guys, and then just make sure your day reflects you and doesn't have to look like a Pinterest board, although they are beautiful, but it's your day.
Yeah, that's such great advice. I love that. And what is married life like now? You're about to go on a little adventure again, but how has it been since being married? And do you feel like you got any of those post-wedding blues?
I didn't have time because we had moved back, started new jobs, moved into a house, found out we were pregnant all within like 2 weeks, and had a wedding. So there was no time
Fit
for
on.
post-wedding blues. It was all right, right, on to the next thing. Baby's coming, cool. Yeah, but married life has been great. Dylan still works on yachts, so he's kind of away for a few months at a time and then back. So I mean that has its own challenges. But we are about to go back to Mallorca for about 5 months, so that's going to be really amazing. Have some European summer. We still have our little apartment there, so that's why we can do it. So yeah, it would just be good to have a bit of Spanish life again. We haven't been there since we left. So looking forward to trying to get my daughter to say a few Spanish words. Yeah, but married life has been good, been busy. We didn't really have much time to enjoy married life because it was straight into baby life. But we had been together for like 10 years, so we've had lots of time together, so it's okay.
Oh, so cool. I'm so jealous that you're off to European summer. I spent a bit of time in Mallorca, my last like big Europe trip, and it's so beautiful. That's just the dream to like chase the sun around the world. So
It really is. Yeah, we have a
very
spare
jealous of
room.
you.
You can come over.
Oh, good to know. But yeah, it'll be a really cool experience for your daughter as well, and spending a bit of time there.
Yeah,
Love that.
will be.
Amazing. Is there anything else you want to add about your own wedding, or we'll go on to talk about the vendor side?
No, I feel my wedding was a couple of years ago now, and trends change, and it's maybe not as interesting. So yeah,
No, it's great. No, it's good to talk about. I know people, yeah, love hearing these episodes when it's like a vendor, but also about their experience too, kind of both perspectives. And then, yeah, I feel like you understand your brides a bit more. You've been through it yourself. So,
100%. You've been there, definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So you are a wedding planner, stylist. I don't know all the
Yes.
titles you want to call yourself, and we'll
Yeah.
talk about the differences between them. But you started Curated by Ciara, and you recently took over the White Wedding Club. And so, yeah, to start with, if you could just tell us a bit about your background. You kind of mentioned having the idea to go into that sort of area when you were wedding planning yourself. But yeah, can you talk about sort of how you got started and yeah, your journey that's led you to where you are today?
Yeah. So yeah, my background is a professional dancer, so I think events have been in my blood for a long time. I think that's kind of, taught me what it takes to to work in events behind the scenes and that kind of thing. And then I was a yacht chief stewardess on super yachts, so there was a lot of planning events on that. I worked for a few owners that loved to party and loved to entertain. So dealing with that and like all these logistical challenges, you can be in the middle of the Caribbean and your boss wants 100 white hydrangeas for some party, then you just have to find them. So there's a lot of like the planning. It teaches you to be very organized, teaches you to think out of the box and how to create these beautiful events with what you have, what resources you have on board. So from then, I knew that I loved events. I loved planning things. So that's what I wanted to get into. And then, yeah, it was through planning my own wedding. I was like, actually, I think I want to specialize in weddings. Like, I know a lot of people find the wedding planning process really stressful and really overwhelming, but I loved it. And it did have its stresses, especially during the pandemic, planning it 3 times, but I kind of thrived off that. And that's when I was like, actually, I know a lot of people find this really difficult, but I'm actually loving it. So maybe this is what I should do. And I didn't want the whole planning process to be over. So, it was like a relief when it was, and your day is successful. But when it's over, I'm like, oh, I need to get starting on the next thing. So then that's when I decided to launch. I just moved back to New Zealand, had decided to set up my own wedding planning business, Curated by Ciara. Yeah, so I ran that for 2 years, and then a few months ago, the opportunity came up to take over the White Wedding Club. So I jumped at it, and here we are.
Yeah, you've done some amazing work, and we kind of connected at the Wild Hearts Wedding Fair last year, was
Last year,
it? Which
yeah.
was so cool. But you guys had a beautiful stand, and then yeah, it's been so cool to just follow along with your work, and you've yeah, definitely just got that creative talent and eye. Can you talk a bit about the services that you offer? And yeah, maybe we can chat a bit about the difference between a planner, a stylist, and a coordinator? Because I think a lot of people get confused with that. And I know you've done some great explainers on social media with that. And yeah, what sort of client would need either one or all of them?
So a wedding planner is like the umbrella term. It's like what you call yourself. And then under that, you can come be a wedding coordinator, a wedding stylist, and then there's like partial planner. So I offer all the services because I am a wedding planner and I like to offer different services because not everyone has the same budget and not everyone needs the kind of same thing. So a full wedding planner is like what you see, you know, in the J-Lo movie, the wedding planner movie, like she's there from the beginning. So they help you kind of choose your venue, choose your catering, book your vendors. They can help you with budgets, invoices, the whole 9 yards. So they're there from the very beginning until the very end. Obviously, that comes at a price because it takes at least 250 hours to plan a wedding. So a wedding planner is really good if you are super busy. Obviously, if you have that room in your budget to hire a wedding planner, and you just want everything kind of taken care of, then that's amazing. Then something else I offer is like a partial planning service or wedding day management. So that's kind of like coming in about like 4 to 6 months before your wedding and trying to tie up those loose ends and planning the things that you don't have planned yet. So you might have like chosen your venue, your photographer, your catering, but you need help in the other parts, in the other process of pulling it all together. So that's when a partial planner comes in and they can also help you kind of create that vision, create that style as well. And kind of then pulls it all together and then obviously coordinates your day and all that kind of thing. Then there is a wedding coordinator. So some people call it day of coordination because that is the most important thing, is that day of the wedding. I like to call it a month of because that's when I come in about 4 weeks before your wedding and I pull it all together. I take over communication with your vendors. So this is really good. I think if people can, a coordinator is the minimum help that they should have for the wedding because basically it's just taking that stress away and giving you time to relax and enjoy your day with your friends and family. And you know, that lead up, that week of the wedding can be really stressful and it's usually all on the bride most of the time. And all those emails back and forth and vendors asking you questions and that kind of thing, and tying all that together and making sure that your day is seamless is a lot of pressure when you also have to focus on getting married and spending time with your friends and family and trying to enjoy the whole process as well. The week of, it's very much like hands-on, in touch with vendors, trying to sort out all those logistics. And then obviously it's coordinating the whole day from start to finish, or from, you know, until about like the first dance. And it's just setting up so, you know, the bride doesn't have to worry about setting up. So it's taking care of that. It's liaising with the vendors, meeting everyone on site, making sure everyone knows what they're doing, and then also solving any problems that come up because problems always come up. And if you don't have a coordinator or someone specific there, the first place that they go is the bride. And you don't want to be dealing with that while you're having your hair and makeup done and trying to enjoy your morning with your girls. So that's when a coordinator is really, really, really helpful. And then a wedding stylist basically takes care of all the aesthetics. So if you are a detail orientated person and you want those beautiful shots of like the close up of the table settings and everything kind of has a flow and has a style, then a wedding stylist is such a good investment. It is a luxury investment. Not everyone can afford to have a stylist for their wedding. But if that's important to you, if having that style is important to you, then it's definitely a good idea to get the help of a stylist. And then a huge part of that, of course, is the stylist actually styling the wedding on your day. So if you have all those little touches and that kind of thing, they make sure that everything that you guys have planned on paper actually transforms and it comes through in real life on the wedding day.
So good. So super helpful to explain the differences between them. A lot of people get confused with those different roles and then, yeah, which ones they need. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. The minimum having the month of day of coordinator, just having that point person on the day is so helpful for all your vendors in my experience. And then, yeah, just avoiding anything that comes up, them going to the bride or groom or family members bridal party, like you just want to enjoy the day and not worry about all those little things that your vendors can just deal with in the background, and the coordinator really just pulls that all together, makes sure things are running on time. And so good for people to know about all those different services. And yeah, what does that process look like when somebody inquires with you, books with you? You've kind of mentioned how it sort of works in the lead up.
Initially, when I meet my clients, I like to either meet them in person or over Zoom, and we have that initial consultation, and that's when we really sort out kind of what the type of help that they need, or they might already know that they want like a stylist, and we kind of talk through that process. And then in those months leading up to the wedding, it's kind of constant communication back and forth between me and the couples. And we do check-in emails and that kind of thing. We have different Zoom meetings or in-person meetings to discuss the different elements of their day. Say for styling, for example, I actually create a whole styling journal for the couple so they can see exactly what their wedding will look like. Because a lot of time, if someone's hiring a stylist, they still want to have control. They want to make sure that it looks like what they want it to look like. And again, as I said before, a wedding is such a big reflection of the couple. So it's really making sure that we nail that. So we do like a full styling journal. They get that a couple months before their wedding. So that's really exciting. They can see, how the napkins are going to be folded. They can see what their table centerpieces will look like, all that kind of thing. And then, it's just all that communication. And then on the actual wedding day, I'm there in the background. So I don't see my couples that often. I say like a quick hello, but I know that they're busy. And my job is to be in the background and make sure everything is taken care of. So they don't know any logistical challenges that have come up or any problems that have arisen. I'm just there running around in the background trying to deal with it all. So it's just to make sure that the day goes off without a hitch. A few weeks ago, I was playing the music for one of my couples walking down the aisle, and she got there, and we had done the rehearsal the day before, and we knew that she wanted to walk, like appear at the top of the aisle at the specific moment of the song, and we had it nailed. We had the timing. I knew when to tell her when to go. I'm a professional dancer, so I will make sure that you practice at the rehearsal until we get it right. And then she looked at me, she goes, I don't have my bouquet. And I said, okay. And she had got ready at this apartment just across from the venue. I said, okay, what apartment were you in? She goes, the middle one. I was like, is the door open? She's like, yes. So I sprinted over there, ran up the stairs, got her bouquet, came down, gave it to her, and we nailed it. She got the timing of the song just then. But it's all those little things. She was like, Ciara, I can't believe you ran off so fast. I said, yeah, I can't believe I did either, but you just make it happen. So all those things to make sure that your day goes off perfectly.
Oh, I love that. So good just having that person. And you'd be such like a calming and helpful presence on the day as well. And just, it's all those little unexpected things that you don't want a bridesmaid racing off to. There's just somebody else like on it. And no one would know any different. It's just running smoothly. And you're Raglan based, but do you do weddings everywhere? There's some beautiful venues in Raglan, but you're kind of like all over the country, or
I like to say all over North Island. I think South Island is a whole new ball game, and there's like amazing vendors down there. So Raglan is beautiful. Obviously, love doing weddings here, but it is a smaller market. So I do weddings kind of all over Waikato, Coromandel, do quite a few, Auckland, and then further north I'd like to start doing more as well because my dad actually lives up there, so that kind of makes it easy to do weddings up there. I can stay with him. And so branch out for Northland, and there's beautiful wedding venues up there too.
Definitely check out your work, and wherever you are, or mainly North Island. That's good for people to know. And is there any sort of common mistakes that you see couples make when planning their wedding, and just in the whole planning or styling process?
Trying to do it all themselves. Hire help. Again, it's that thing like you might not have done this before. You're not supposed to know all these things. You're not supposed to know the best way is for everything to run smoothly. And I see couples trying to do it all themselves, and they're like, oh, it's okay, I've got my Aunt Sally, she's going to set up in the morning, and that kind of thing. And it's just everyone, like I said before, everyone goes to the bride to ask what to do. And then you see the stressed out bride the day before the wedding, like, what can I do? What can I help? How can I help this? And, the bride's like, there's so much going on. And I'm like, if I'm there as a coordinator, I can like diffuse that problem. I can be like, right, like you go over there, you do that, and kind of coordinate everything to make sure everyone knows what they're doing. But again, it's just that not hiring a coordinator. I've been guests at weddings where they haven't hired anyone and the bride is just bothered all day long. Could be that the bar tabs run out and the bar people are asking her about that. It could be whatever it may be, and it's just so disheartening to see because that brings on stress on her wedding when she's not supposed to have it. So yeah, I think at minimum, if people can just allocate a certain amount in your budget, even that if that means cutting out something else that's maybe not as important to you, just hire a coordinator, hire someone to kind of help you with the whole process, help take that stress away, because really the day goes so quickly. You spend months and months and sometimes years putting your energy into this one day, and it's over before you know it, and you don't want to look back and kind of remember being a bit stressed out about some things. So it's such a good investment just to hire someone to help you.
Yeah, that's amazing advice. And yeah, I've seen that at weddings as well when they don't have someone and you have to step in as a vendor or a guest. And yeah, it's just so much more stressful. And it's such a important, beautiful day that you really just want to be present and not worrying about any of that stuff. So definitely we're reinforcing that again and again, but it's so important.
Yeah.
I know every single wedding is different, and so it's hard to chat about like pricing in this area because it is quite customized. But yeah, can you talk a bit about that, even a ballpark figure of what people can expect? Yeah, what they should sort of allocate in their budget if they want one or all of these services.
100%. I mean, it's really good to know for people to know, what things cost. And people sometimes think a wedding planner is so expensive and they can't afford them. And that's why I like to specify that there's different packages. And I think it's really good for couples just to be transparent with your planner or whoever you're talking to be like, we want this service, but we have this amount. And then your planner is actually really good at working with you to kind of pick out the bits that you need. For an on the day coordinator, we're looking at it starts from about $1,500, and that's from the month before. So that includes like all the admin and all that kind of thing, and then obviously like a full 10-hour day or whatever, like on the day. Obviously, for a larger wedding, you might need two people, so you might have to add an assistant, that kind of thing. But it's basically from 1,500. Styling is about from 2,400, and that's from about like the 6 to 8 months before your wedding. That includes like styling journals and of course styling on the day. Might include like two people or whatever setting up on the day. And then partial planning is probably about 3,500, and then full planning is about from 7,000. That's because that is that whole 250 hours of planning at least goes into that. So yeah, obviously these things are big investments, but if you're someone that's really busy or planning from overseas or something that might not have those hours to spare, then those things are a really good idea to invest in.
Cool. That's so good for people to know. Thank you. And yeah, I think, like you say, the amount of hours that go into, especially that full planning as well. And like people working full-time jobs and your time is money in a way. So if you are that sort of person and you can delegate that to someone else, it's actually probably going to save you in the end. Yeah, but so good for people to get an idea of what that looks like and which one might work best for you. Is there any sort of trends or common themes that you've seen coming through from the recent wedding season, or what you think we're going to be seeing more of? Just talking about the more aesthetic and styling side of things.
Yeah, I think sustainability is big right now, and I'm loving it, and that comes in all shapes and forms. And with sustainability, is becoming like textures, a lot of textural elements with styling. We're seeing like mossy mounds on tables. We're seeing fruits and vegetables, which you have for a little while for like like table centerpieces. I've seen like a cabbage on a table with a ribbon wrapped around it, and it looks beautiful. You're like, how can a cabbage look really nice? But it just, when it's all done properly, it can look kind of break those boundaries and just look really beautiful. We're seeing a lot of like linen used, so linen for signs, for welcome signs, for seating charts, that kind of thing. So again, just those textural elements, the sustainability element, which is really, really nice. I'm seeing a lot of couples now just doing what they want, which is really amazing. They're like, no, we want to do this. We want to do it that way. I'm like, hey, that's amazing. My job there is to support you guys in this journey. So, a lot of people doing, first looks. I had a wedding, a few weeks ago where they wanted to greet their guests as they arrived to the ceremony site, which was so amazing. They did it as a surprise, and so it's just people doing weddings their way. And also I'm seeing, I think maybe it is since COVID, people are planning less in advance. So that's quite interesting for other vendors to be aware of, is that, I think gone are the days of people planning things like 2 years in advance. People are kind of doing it for planning now, like for the next season and that kind of thing. Again, that's probably just since the pandemic, people being aware of plans that might change and that kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, oh, so cool to hear about all of that. And yeah, I love seeing all the like fruit and vegetable styling, quite like sculptural vibe. And then yeah, the sustainability piece really interesting too. Absolutely, just doing your wedding your way. I love that more people are kind of realizing that we don't have to stick to these like traditions or do things, yeah, however your grandma told you to, or whatever it is. You can just sort of do what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if we mentioned as well on that styling side of things. So do you have hire stuff that you people sort of use as well when they book their styling? Yeah.
I have a great boutique hire range. I've got furniture in there, like centerpieces, glassware, cutlery, sign stands, that kind of thing. So, so I've got lovely range of hireware, which the last owner, Bridget from White Wedding Club, she was actually a flight attendant. So she collected a lot of the stuff on her travels around the world. So a lot of it is like quite different. So yeah, some really beautiful styling pieces in there. So yeah, check out the White Wedding Club and yeah, see what I have to offer.
So cool. You've got it all. And we'll definitely link to all your socials and stuff in the show notes and Instagram. But yeah, it's been so great to chat to you today. Is there anything else you want to add as we wrap up?
I think again, I just wanted to like let people know that if you have a budget for your wedding, like that's okay, and not to be ashamed of that. A lot of people, when they're planning their wedding, they just assume that you've just got to spend all the money and you can't afford certain things, or you're embarrassed if you can't afford, a stylist or whatever. But like, it's okay. And I think vendors at this time are super understanding. And I think just to be transparent about that, I've had, people come to me, be like, hey, I really want help, but I can't afford the whole thing. What can we do? And we work together to create something how I can still give them the help that they need, but maybe not everything. So just so we can work within budgets. So I think, just to be honest, just be transparent. And I think vendors are being more transparent with their clients as well at the moment, because everyone's feeling it and it's okay. But just because you have a budget, it doesn't mean you can't get the wedding that you want, So again, hiring help, that's a very good way of someone professional in the industry helping you get, find alternative things to say the wedding that you want, helping to find things that might fit within your budget, or using other vendors that you might not know about that will fit within your budget. So that kind of thing. So yeah, it's okay to be on a budget, but it doesn't mean that you can't have the wedding of your dreams, because you can.
That's such good advice. I think there is such a misconception, like, oh, I could never afford a wedding planner. That's like a luxury thing. But yeah, I really encourage people to reach out to vendors and chat to them, because you might actually be able to fit that in with your budget and yeah, like you say, use them in a certain way. And I think it often ends up actually saving people money by hiring someone to sort of oversee that rather than them doing it themselves and not sort of knowing, having all the contacts and yeah, everything that comes along with that. So such good
100%.
advice. Amazing. Cool. Been so lovely to chat to you today. I know people are going to get a lot out of this episode. So thank you for
Oh,
coming
thank you
on.
so much. Thanks for having me. It's been great. It's been great to talk about these things that people are kind of confused about. So, yeah. And if anyone has any questions, just I'm so happy to give advice or answer questions. Just shoot me a Instagram message or whatever. And yeah, happy to kind of clarify things and help out where I can.
Amazing. So good. Yeah, we'll link to everything and yeah, get in touch with Ciara and have a chat because it's definitely worth it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much.